Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh. Dash, back at you with this truth. Anyway, this is a response to 10 things to know before engaging Hebrew Israelites. Cam Triggs, and this is Cam Triggs. Remember to look just like Buddy McGirt with a suit on. Not snapping on him, but you look like Buddy McGirt. Go to Buddy McGirt and look and put up Buddy McGirt, the former champion, superstar boxer. I had to steal that from Blue Bloods. Anyway, this is a lecture. By the way, Jude 3 Project is the name of the YouTube page. And it mostly, you know, a Jake Christian organization, I would say. I'm pretty sure there's Edomites in there, but it's basically a Jake organization. Most of the videos of Jake. Anyway, let me read this. It said Cam Triggs shares 10 things to know before engaging Hebrew Israelites at the through eyes of color, through the eyes of color virtual experience to watch the full conference. Click here. I didn't know there was a full conference, excuse me. This is 23 minutes long. So let's see what we can get out of this, all right? And by the way, I'm gonna do it right now. I'll come back to my man. Jake can't see it because they just lost. Fanatic woke up, but he's all fucked up in the head. You know, what he should have did was when he left the whole Christian thing, he should have found a Hebrew Israelite camp. All right. Like I said, okay, the Jude 3 Project these are their videos, and you can see they're Jake. This is a Jake. When I say Jake, I'm talking about Nick Rose. See, got a woman up in there. Okay, I forgot this guy's name. I can click on it, find out. But he did he's right here too. He did not a lecture, a debate of sorts with the Kemetic community. Anyway, you know what? I'm gonna show you this here. Let me go to the videos. And you know, we're veterans with this thing, so we can kind of lag and talk. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we don't have to set things up. You know, let me get these precepts all set up. Let me have them lined up. Some of us do that. It's a good thing to do that. But we go through the spirit. We feel we know the scriptures well enough to go through the spirit. I'm trying to find this video. Dang. I think it was put up. Was it put up 3 months ago? Bear with me for a minute, please. Unless they took it down. I don't think they took it down. Okay, this is 3 months ago. Okay, boom. I got it. Can he be a Hebrew Israelite and a Christian? It should say at the same time. And this video was put up 4 months ago, and I saw it. I checked out the video. Check out the video, inside joke, 4 months ago. So this is 23 minutes long. I'm not going to show you the whole video, but you can watch the whole video. What I'll do is I'll kind of jump around like the House of Pain. Anyway, let me click on it. This is a damn commercial.
It's like, man, it's better than this term African American. It's better than etc. Other, you know, it kind of it gives you a sense of identity to know that you're more than what you're being told in your life, in your experiences.
Okay, the guy that you just saw speaking. Let me see if they give you his name. Okay, it says, can he be a Hebrew Israelite and a Christian? From People to Person, season 1, episode 1. On this episode of From People to Person, Street Hymns discussed, so that's his name. He's a Christian rapper, all right? Discussed his journey to understanding his ethnicity, from the Greek ethnos, as Hebrew. So this guy is a Hebrew. This guy is a Christian that have, and I'm pretty sure he might say it in the video. I haven't seen this video in like 4 months or so. Actually, 4 months. I don't even think I saw the whole video, but it caught my eye. The title. Big question right there. Fanatic, where you at? Anyway, it says, okay, let me go to street. You know what? Let me go to street hymns. Let me go to street hymns. Let me go to street hymns. He's a rapper slash, I guess, battle rapper. I had to look at the clock. Oh, this is a good one. I watch this guy a lot. I've subscribed to him. A call to an uprising. He does very good videos warning National Guard being called in to be teachers in schools. What they're doing there being doctors and nurses and every goddamn thing else. Why not be teachers? Anyway, let me put in street hymns. I'm a little all over the place. Oh yeah, he's a battle rapper. Street hymns versus Boney, street hymns versus Murder Mook. Street hymns rap battle. Let me just click on this. So he's well known in the battle rap community, whether it's Christian battle rap or this battle rap, and he's rapping with people. Oh, they had this right here, Sister Outspoken, which I believe she was also cute sister, I must say. Good looking woman. So she's hearing me, Anyway, let me go to this. Jake is in a transitioning period, man. Like I said this many times before, that Jake, when I say Jake, I'm talking about, that's short for Jacob, which is Israel. Another way of saying Israel, Israelites. I would say 98, 99% of brothers that are part of the Israelite movement, as they say, Israelism, come from Christianity. I myself was a Protestant, just like my main man, Vocab Malone. I was a Protestant, man. I was raised as a Protestant. I wasn't raised as a Catholic. I wasn't raised as a Baptist or Methodist. I was raised as a Protestant, man. And I remember as a child, they had a Bible, a Sunday school for children, and it was a white woman, young girl. She had to be maybe in the 20s. I was a kid. I was maybe 6 or 7. And what she went into was the laws of Moses, the importance of the laws of Moses. But they say, oh, forget about the laws. You can be a Mo and be a Moor and so forth. Be a Mo and still be a Christian. Anyway, Let me let you listen to a little of this. Let's see what happens. Okay, this brother, okay, he's a Christian rapper slash battle rapper. So I guess he battle raps against other rappers, secular rappers, which show you that the Christianity would keeps Christianity afloat is they take worldly things. They'll look at like the X Games, you know, the guys that mostly Edomites. Jake ain't in the shit doing shit in the cold. They in the goddamn house. But you get a skateboard or a boogie board or whatever the hell you call it, and you just skate and do flips in the snow. And Christians say, "Oh, I like that. Let's do that, and let's call us Christian X Games participants." All right. Anyway, like I said, I'm all over the place. Okay, this is Sister Outspoken, and I believe she denounced Christianity. Let me go to her. Let me go to her. Okay, here it is. Boom, here it is. So you Christians are losing big time. And I remember actually seeing this video. It said, why did she leave Christianity for African spirituality? From People to Person, episode 1, season 1, episode 2. I'm gonna let you listen to a little bit of it. She did.
Disrespect Christianity in a sense, because I know it works. I know truth still lives there, but I found something work there.
And what showing you, man, Jake is pulling out, man. They don't want this they don't want this Christianity, which I call plantation Christianity, because that's all it is. So Jake is waking up to this, man. Fanatic just left. Sister Outspoken, she left, but she you know, took a wrong turn. She found like comedic stuff, you know, because of her ethnic background. Anyway, you know what? Let's come back. Let's come back.
You got the right future. Hands dressed to kill. Nobody might suit you.
And that's very worldly. You know, hip hop battle rap is very worldly. And if you notice, he doesn't even say anything about the Messiah. Let's come back to him. Let's come back. Let's listen to a little bit more. I'm sorry. What the hell did I just do? Let me try this. Nope. Let me come back. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Okay, let me go back to this individual. Okay, let's go back to his name. Somehow I got lost in the matrix. Okay, let's go to this one. Let's go to this one. And these women are completely out of order. they're completely out of order. You know, she got I don't know if she's a Christian battle rapper or a battle rapper or what. Women have no business being into this. They're supposed to be, matter of fact, let me get that. Like I said, I'm going to be a little all over the place because I didn't plan anything. So whatever comes in my dome, I'm going to push it out there. Bear with me for a minute. What the hell you doing? Okay, what do I want to go to? Sorry about that. What the hell happened? Let me open up another. Let me open this up. Damn, I just lost it. Ain't this a okay, I don't know what the hell happened. Let me try to bring this back. Let me see if I can save this. Okay, I hope I came back. Let's see what happens here. This is what a woman okay, let me go to that. It's either first, let's see, First Timothy or First Thessalonians. I think it's First Timothy 5. Let's check that. I got a little tequila up in me, so. Okay. First Timothy 5. Okay, I'll start from the top. Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger man as brother. And that's why Alazar and Deacon Akar is not going to make it because they don't respect elders. The elder woman as mothers, the younger as sisters, with all purity. Honor widows that are widows indeed. But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home, and which is order, and to righteous order, and to requite their parents, for that is good and acceptable before the Most High. Now she that is a widow indeed and desolate trusteth in the Most High, and continue with in supplication and prayers night and day. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. Like these women that I featured, they're worldly women and they're out of control. They're not going to come under a man. And these things give in charge that they may be blameless. Or it said a bishop should be blameless too. For you bishops out there. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, meaning his actual household, you got to take care of your house. You can't be having baby mamas all over the place. You don't know. You get last time you seen your son was 3 years ago, or never. He have denied the faith. He have denied the faith. And so you brothers out there that have baby mamas with with your children, you better try to make some type of contact, if not with your wife, your former wives, with your children. And it's worse than an infidel, meaning an unbeliever. Let not a widow be taken into the number under 80 years old, which is 60, having been the wife of one man. And that's what they did back there. They didn't jump from man to man. They had one man. If the man died when she was at a certain age, she packed it in, so to speak. It says, well reported of for good works, if she have brought up children, if she have large strangers. Now that whole thing, large strangers, back during that time period, you had a house and you had a guest house, which was separate. If you were in a guest house, you could not get into the main house unless you stepped out the guest house and went to the main door. Okay? If she have washed the saints' feet, if she, and that really means, did hospitable things to the saints. If she have if she have relieved the afflicted, if she have diligently followed every good work, but the younger widows refuse. For when the younger widows, meaning after their husbands die, they're going to become busybodies. That's why it says 60. It said 60. For when they have begun to wax wanton against Yahushua, they will marry. All right? Which is not going against the law, because if your husband died, you can remarry. Let me look up the word wanton. Wanton. Wanton, to feel the impulses of sexual desire. To feel the impulses of sexual desire, because she's young. That's why I mentioned 60. When you're 60, above 60, you ain't thinking about sex, all that. You really shouldn't be thinking about sex. That's saying you.
G 2691.
Katastreniao, which means to feel the impulse of sexual desire. So now let's come back. First Timothy 5, verse 11, but the younger women refuse, for when they have begun to wax, wanting to fulfill their sexual needs, that's what wanton means, against Yahushua. So they're not praying and fasting and doing the deeds of a saint. They want to get another man for sex. It says they will marry. They will marry. Having damnation because they have cast off their first faith. See, that's why, look, when you don't have a wife, or a wife doesn't have a husband, and you're in this truth, you dedicate yourself to this truth. It says, and with all they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers. They talking shit, so-and-so got this, and she did this, and such and so-and-so ain't even having sex. It says, but tattlers also, and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not, being out of order. That's why we don't have you ain't gonna see no women sitting on beach chairs at the camp. It says, I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary, Esau, to speak reproachfully, for some are already turned aside after Satan. You got demons on you. And if any man or woman that believeth have widows, let them, widows, let them relieve them, and let not the church be charged, that it may relieve them that are widows indeed. Okay, so let me come back. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, now I don't know if this is Street Hymns. Okay, this is somebody else. Chrissy Yama Goosey rap battle host by John the Don battle Brupen battle guide. Now, like I said, I don't know if this is a Christian crew, but like I said, what Christians do is they take things of the world and they bring it to their form of Christianity. They do exactly what the world do, but they believe in it. But I believe in Christ. So let's listen to a little bit of this.
And literally over again. Now that you came, like the insult called it, what the fuck do you think was going to happen? The people up on you. He's talking him. Reaching a baby. I start pulling that weight.
This is nothing but worldly shit. So she just used the F word. She used the F bomb. All right. And this guy's leaning like a worldly Jake. All right. This is why he's in between two beliefs. So now let's come back. Let me come back here. Let me do this. Street Hymns. And he's basically unstable in all his ways, because if he found out that he was an Israelite, and he said, I identified myself with being an Israelite, he should not have anything to do with Christianity, because it conflicts with the whole Hebrew Israelite doctrine. Like I said, I'm all over the place, but that's all right too. Yeah, two all over the place. Okay, we'll go watch another video. Let me see if I can catch him this way. The dude has no real foundation. Let me do it this way. I thought it would come up, but it didn't. So let me do it this way. Okay. Well, I gotta go this way. Come back over here.
You want to know where he invested $1,000?
No, I don't. I'm gonna come back to Street Battles or whatever his name is. Yeah, this Christianity that Jake is into, there's no real foundation to it. This is for so-called white people. So, okay, we're back here. Can he be a Hebrew Israelite and a Christian? Well, he's worldly, he's in the world. He's not on the Christian battle rap scene. He's on the battle rap scene. However you say it.
Better than these term African American, better than etc. Other, it's kind of indigenous as far as that, you're more than what you're being told in More than.
Now you see this right here? This is going against the law. Somebody could put it in the Leviticus 19:27. He's going against the law. Yeah, this is like worldly stuff. Dreadlocks, long hair. What did Paul say about long hair? You know? So he's kind of half a Christian, half an Israelite, and half in the world. Or let's say 1/3 Christian, 1/3 Israelite, 1/3 in the world. Which makes him totally, he's a confused person.
What you're being told in your life, in your experiences.
All right, let me jump. Let me jump. Let me just get the beginning of it. Yeah, this is not the way. This Jude 3 the Jude 3 project is not the way they're going. They're not dealing with the Mosai's not dealing with them. So let's listen to a little bit of this. Then we'll get back to the lecture that the individual did. What's his name? Chris Triggs, I think his name was. So you actually have at least one Christian that identifies with being an Israelite.
My brother, I'm so excited to have you coming to Jacksonville, Florida. He thought he was in Arizona.
Look, I'm not a geographical person at all.
He didn't know where Jacksonville was. I mean, how can you not know where the best city in the world is?
Okay. The weather's nice. The weather's nice for servitude.
But I'm so thankful that you would participate in our People to Person series. You have a unique journey. Tell our audience just a little bit about who you are.
Yes. So my artist name is Street Hymns. My motto is Hymns for the Streets, because the streets need him. And I was born into the Christian hip hop realm of everything.
Which is worldly. Like I said, what keeps Christianity, plantation Christianity, especially for so-called Black people, is you got to bring gimmicks in. Clearly a gimmick. You know, if you have an old pastor teaching a sermon, you're not going to get young people coming to the sermon. You get old people. But if you have a hip hop battle at your church, you know, we're going to have a sermon, then we're going to have a hip hop, a rhyme battle, hip hop battle, whatever the hell you want to call it. You know, street hymn battle, whatever. That's what keep this old fake ass Christianity afloat. They get things from the world, they Christianize it, and then people say, "Oh, I don't got to go to the world. I can still be a Christian and do this and do that. I can be a rapper. I can be this." And there's all kind of wickedness going on with in the Christian church. There's all kind of adulterous practices going on in the Christian church. You know, and don't let me quote the Apostle Paul about you know, if you have a wife and you go your separate ways, she can't marry nobody no more. And really, based upon Christianity, the man can't marry. They gotta stay. They can't deal with no woman. They can't. The man can't deal with a woman. The woman can't deal with a man. Okay, that's what Paul said. That's what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 7 chapter. He also spoke about that in Romans 7. You can start at the first verse. So they just do anything they want, but if they call Jesus, they're good. They're good. Let's listen on.
Were the cross movement, and cross movement was literally not only a powerhouse musically, but before any of the fame and the attention was going there, I remember vividly as a child going to the streets and going to churches, going to events and just evangelism, you know. And so in a sense, they were G's and things that people had in the religious realm within it. And I pay a lot of homage to the people who started it and it's actually an honor, to be known as one of the pioneers.
I think the people that follow us to every stop and come at the extremes you might have encountered.
For sure.
And so tell us kind of what was that journey like? How did you start to identify the Hebrew? What was that journey like?
You heard, you're going to listen to some more. How did you identify with a Hebrew? Because although he says he's a Christian, right? He identifies himself with being an Israelite ethnically, meaning he believes he's a descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but he's still a Christian. So he's stuck in between two worlds, which makes him completely lost.
Yeah, so, and like, first of all, I'm a skeptic first, and I'm a very literal person. Not that I can't see nuance, but when it comes to definitions.
Question for Vocab Malone. Why aren't you going after this guy? He's a Christian, a part of your so-called Christian community, but he identifies himself ethnically with the Israelites. In other words, he knows he's an Israelite.
That's the first thing before a conversation begins. I try to do is like, I can say something, but if you have a different definition of what this means, then we're going to be talking about two different things. And so the term Hebrew Israelite, Paul said, I am a Hebrew from the tribe of Benjamin. Paul is a Hebrew Israelite. Literally, that's just the fact. All the disciples were Hebrew Israelites, and so the term itself just means a Hebrew person, and Hebrew is ethnicity, not religion. You can be a Hebrew atheist, so.
Good point. Good point. The Moors practice the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and some of them practice or follow the ways of Islam. Did that make them not be a Moor? If you're a Moor, does that mean you have to follow the teachings of Muhammad? No, because you had Moors that were Israelites, and you had Moors, which means, by the way, the word Moor means black. That's all it is, black person. Puerto Ricans will call you Moreno. My wife is Puerto Rican. She calls me, when she introduced me to somebody that's Puerto Rican or Dominican, they'll start speaking Spanish to me because I look Spanish, I guess. And then she'll say in Spanish, no, he's a Moreno. So she'll use the word Moreno, which means more. This means black, ethnicity. You can be an Israelite and practice Buddha, and you're gonna wind up being a damn fool. But let's listen to this again.
Israelites, and so the term itself just means a Hebrew person, and Hebrew is ethnicity, not religion. You can be a Hebrew atheist, and so when it comes to recognizing it first as a ethnicity and not a religious claim, I think it really, really clarifies things for people that have this mindset that, oh, because you identify as Hebrew and you're a POC, you now therefore yell at white people on the streets and call them Edomites and say, you're going to bow down to me. It's like, no, first of all, that's not biblical, that's heresy, and it's offensive,
And that shows you that it said it's offensive. Paul said he was rude of speech. But that's the fact. The fact that they're going into slavery is all throughout the scriptures. I mean, all kind of precepts just came to mind. So, like I said, he's got one foot in Israel and the other foot in the grave, which is Christianity. So he's confused. And all praises to Yahweh Shem Shai for putting the spirit on us to bombard the YouTube with these videos, because Jake is losing it, man. Fanatic. He doesn't want to have nothing to do with Christianity. Street hymns. He's in between two.
For me, collaboration within the church, collaboration within unity, within diversity is what the gospel is all about. And for me, when I first heard about it, I was one of the people that was very, very skeptical towards it, against it, just because, just my roots theologically, I was just, trained to attack it, and so I had some brothers who I knew were Christians, knew were believers, and they were like, yeah, I claim to be Hebrew. I said, wait, but you're a Christian. And he was like, yeah, I am a Christian religiously, but I think that I'm ethnically Hebrew, and
Did you hear that, vocab Malone? You have Jake's he's talking about Jake's, obviously. He's talking about no Edomites. And the fact that he said you can't condemn Edomites, that goes against the scriptures, which it doesn't go against the scriptures. And Mosai told us to shake the hand, lift up the banner, shake the hand, exalt the voice. So we're telling Edomites that going into captivity, other nations going into captivity, and we're going to be over that. That's all throughout the scriptures. But he's mentioning how he came to the realization that he's ethnically an Israelite because he ran into other Christians, Israelite Jakes, that said, yeah, no, we're Israelites. Yeah, ethnically we're Israelites, but my religion is Christianity. So let's listen on.
For me, that shocked me, because I was like, how can you be claiming to be a Hebrew and also be a Christian? Because the Hebrews I know are the people I'm debating against on the streets. I'm fresh out of Bible college, and whenever I see them, I'm pulling up to go have a conversation. And I still do that now. It's just a whole different conversation from a different angle now. So for me personally, it really wasn't first starting theological. It was first historical, and then ancestral. So historically, just kind of tracing things, understanding that the slave trade first began in Spain and Portugal, and then from Spain and Portugal to Northwest Africa, which is where most people, we do our DNA tests, we end up being located in Northwest Africa.
So, well, actually, that whole West Coast, from the north down to the south, South Africa, majority of them are Israelites. When we fled in 70 AD, we fled into Africa. We tried to get as far away from the Romans that we could. So we went to the west coast of Africa. And that's where they picked us up, hence fulfilling the prophecy, Joel, the 3rd chapter, which I'm going to go to real quick for you newer cats. Joel 3. And I'll start at 1. The key point is in the 3rd verse. For behold, in those days and in that time when I shall begin again to bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which means Yahweh's judgment, and will plead with them. And that the word plead means judge them. It means to judge with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among whom they and other nations scattered among the nations and parted my land. And they got us out and they took our land. They're in our land to this day. It says, and they, the 3rd verse, this is the key verse, and they have cast lots from my people and have given a boy for an harlot and have sold a girl for wine that they may drink. That's just slave trade in Africa. What Esau did, it came from England, Portugal, America, and so forth. We're focusing on America. They gave gifts. They said, look, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, and we want these slaves. A quid pro quo. 4th verse. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon? Those are the Arabs. Even though you had Canaanites living there, it was Arabs that took that land over. You got the Palestinians over there. But some of them, I believe, are Israelites. All the coast of Palestine, will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? Because ye have taken my silver and my gold and have carried them into your temples, my goodly pleasant things. Now, the Arabs did that, and also this guy Titus, 70 AD, They raided the temple. They took all the riches out. There's a arch called the Arch of Titus, which commemorates the fact that they took down Israelites. So the Lord is just merely telling them that they're going to pay back in the first and second verse. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. So the Grecians are Edomites, that ye might remove them far from their border. We will remove far from our border over here to the Americas. That's all I need on that. Oh, let's go here. Deuteronomy 28. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but thou shalt betroth a wife and another man shall lie with her. They showed you that in that movie, what was it? Birth of a Nation, a new one. So we were able to get married, but the Edomite slave master, if he wanted to, he would pop your wife before you got into her. That was one of the curses. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein, as happened in slavery in America. Thou shalt plant a vineyard and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. That was working out the field, Negro. And it goes back and forth. That's talking about the transatlantic chattel slavery. This is talking about when we were in Jerusalem. It says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fell with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. Now, what a good example of this is a movie Roots, the series Roots, where they took Kizzy from Kunta Kinte and his wife. You know, when you see that scene right there, this precept should come to mind. Deuteronomy 28, verse 32. Third, 35th verse. The Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs, and with a sore botch that cannot be healed from the sole of thy feet onto the top of thy head. Go into the hood and see how many Jakes got canes, and they're walking with walkers, even young Jakes in wheelchairs, and they smoking a Newport. '36 verse. Yahweh shall bring thee and thy king, which is King David, because Yahweh Shai didn't come over here to serve slavery. It was King David, which thou shalt set over thee, King David, unto a nation, America, Babylon, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. That's in these churches. I'm gonna jump down to 47. Because thou servest not Yahweh thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies. Your number one enemy right now is Esau, which Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in the want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies. The Romans carried the eagle, and America, the symbol for America is the eagle. As the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. At one time it was Rome, Latin, Italian, Latin. And the other event is when Esau came from America. A nation of fierce continents which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. The police shot Tamir Rice. There was an incident where this guy I guess it happened the other day where they busted in. They didn't bust in. They had a key. The police had a key. They opened the door. They went in the bedroom. The guy was sleeping, and they shot him dead. And they realized that was the wrong guy. "53rd verse. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body." That happened in the siege. And when Rome, it's in Luke 19, they put a trench around us and built a wall around us so we couldn't get out and we couldn't come in. It said, "The flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which Yahweh thy power hath given thee in the siege and in the straitness, hardness, wherewith thine enemies, the Romans at that time, shall distress thee, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother and toward his wife of his bosom and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them the flesh of his children." That's all I got to read. So that they engaged in cannibalism because they ran at the Romans, blocked them in. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and get that. Okay, the key verse is 43. Okay, I'll go to the point. Luke 19, verse 43. For the days shall come upon thee that mine enemies, which are the Romans at that time, it says, the kingdom of heaven was taken by violence, and the violent taken by force. Suffered violence, and the violence taken by force. Matthews 11. Shall cast a trench about thee and compass thee round and keep thee in on every side, and shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another. That was 70 AD, because thou knoweth not the time of thy visitation. Let me come back to the 43rd verse. For the days shall come upon thee that thine enemies, the Romans, shall cast a trench about thee and cast thee round and keep thee in on every side. So let's look up the word trench.
Psalms 54:82, cut-ups.
A pale, or let me try this. A pale or stake, a palisade or rampart, pales between which earth, stone, trees, and timbers are heaped and packed together, meaning a fence. So they took trees, made sharp edges, and they put it around Jerusalem. And then they made a fence, and then they built a wall around that. So you couldn't get out and nobody could get in. So let me come back. Let me come back to this individual right here.
You start researching the names of the people on these ships, and seeing that a majority of them had Yah in their name, their origin names were Yah. And these are all records you can search within the slave documents.
Yeah, because Esau changed your name.
stuff like that from the slave trade. They'll tell you their name, their height, and then they'll also say their original name and things like that. And one of the
Because when you got on them ships, you were Hebrew. You were speaking Hebrew. You had Hebrew names. You were wearing Hebrew garments. I always show that picture, image of the individual with a yoke of iron on his neck, and he's wearing a Hebrew garment with a beard on his chin. So they were Hebrews. Esau knows this.
biggest thing for me, aside from the historical aspect, was a part of history for myself. So there's a church in Savannah, Georgia called First African Baptist Church. And this church was built in 1859 by slaves. And on the side of the pews is Hebrew writing. It is a mixture of Hebrew, Latin writing. It's called Ladino, right? And Ladino is Hebrew Latin. Why? Because
Let me look up that. Let me look that up. Land. Land. Dino. Okay, it doesn't show you anything. Dino, let me try it this way. Let me try and let Dino language. See what happens. Okay, okay. Ladino language. It says here, Judeo, which is Jew or Judah, Spanish or Judea Spanish, also known as Lad. Okay, it was Ladino, is a Romance language derived from Old Spanish. So we try Ladino. Okay, how is Ladino different from Spanish? It says one notable grammatical difference between Spanish and Ladino is that the letter doesn't use the usted and ustedes form of the second person pronoun. These developed in Spanish after the Jews, which had to be the real Jews, had left. Until the early 20th century, Ladino was written with Hebrew letters, as was the other Jewish languages. So Ladino would be a mixture of Hebrew and Latin. So he was right.
in Portugal, right? And the Hebrew language was not revived until, according to America, I think 1881, right? So this is roughly 30 years beforehand. So who taught them how to do this? When you look at this writing, you know, why is it that this Ladino is being spoken with? Because we learn in history books growing up, it's like, oh, well, you know, they were illiterate. No, if I go to Asia, I'm not illiterate. I just don't know their language. They had a language before they arrived here. You know what I'm saying? So if that language is pure to them, and this is what they were writing outside of the pew, and no one taught it to them, I think that's worth seeing. Come to find out, as a child, I would go there to our family meetings because it was my ancestors who built that church. And so understanding a rich part of my history, knowing that whoever these people were, that were my ancestors were the ones who would put their hands to build these and write these letters. That's what I'm teaching too. And they call themselves Hebrews. So I call myself Hebrew. So it's an ethnic claim first, and it has, not to say it has nothing to do religiously, because there are religious principles that apply, but I don't take the religious aspect and then say, oh, I now call myself a da-da-da, because what happens is people hear that and their mind is shifted so quickly because I say that. They don't even want to associate to a term that is being used so generically. Kind of like how some people who are Christians, it's like, oh, I don't like to use the word Christian because, and for me, it's really just, not to say be safer, but to be wise and just like, I would rather you see the fruit before you judge the tree. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm like, hey, like I'm fully a Christian. I'm fully a follower of the way. It's just ethnically, I believe that my people were Hebrew and I'm Hebrew.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Who they see on the street. So, it's conflated. What has that done for you? Do you feel like a sense of identity was connected to that? Like you felt connected to something?
yeah, so I feel as though the Black community in general is clinging to identify to something because identity was stripped from us, and it was done intentionally. And because of that, I believe that whether it be other religious, spiritual, or ethnic ties, when somebody can give you a affirmation and tell you, hey, we were kings, hey, we were gods, hey, the Black man is this. It's like, man, it's better than this term African American. It's better than et cetera or other. It kind of it gives you a sense of identity to know that you're more than what you're being told in your life, in your experiences.
So I'm going to stop there so you can watch the rest of it. Anyway, let me go to this guy right here. Jude 3 project. And let me see if I can find this. These are just lost souls right here. I think that was 11 months ago. Okay, I found it. I listened to a damn commercial.
Christ fulfilled the law, but there are some primary ways that you have to believe in order for you to be of the faith. First and foremost, you have to know that I want you to understand that there are many ways you can think about how Christ fulfilled the law, but there are some primary ways that you have to believe fuzzy at best when it comes to declaring the new covenant versus the old covenant. How do we know what to apply in the Old Testament, and is that for people in New Testament age? But I want you to know that there are several Christian traditions that have articulated orthodox views on this. So I want you to understand that there are many ways you can think about how Christ fulfilled the law, but there are some primary ways that you have to believe in order for you to be of the faith. First and foremost, you have to know that we are not justified by law. It doesn't matter what tradition you come from in Christianity.
We know that because that's what they say. Vocab says it too. He says you gotta keep the law and be justified by the Lord. That's how you're gonna be delivered. So let's go to that. I believe that's Acts 13. Acts 13. Let's see if I'm at the right place. Okay. Acts 13, verse 39. And by him, all that believe are justified from all things. from which ye could not be justified by the law of Moses. So we know that. So there they go putting words in our mouth. Let's come back. So we covered that.
You could be somebody who ascribes to covenant theology. You could be somebody who ascribes to dispensationalism. You could be somebody who would describe themselves as somebody who believes in new covenant theology or progressive covenantalism. Listen, the main thing that you have to understand as
What is the new covenant all about? The new covenant is an old law put in Israel's mind. And the new covenant is only for the children of Israel, the sons of Israel.
a believer in Jesus Christ is that we are not justified by the law. Reading the King James Version, because many people of the Black Israelite sects only see that as a valid translation. King James Version, Romans 3, verse 20 says, therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. For by the law is the knowledge of sin. What does that mean? The word justification is a declaration. It is a legal term where a judge hits a gavel and says, not guilty. We cannot be justified by the law. You're looking for references, helpful books that would help you understand where you may land on this particular issue and be able to engage people who are trying to come and that make you believe differently of your church, your local church tradition, or the creeds and confessions that you find yourself in at your local church. I highly suggest 40 questions about Christians and biblical law.
Ching, 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 ching.
Second thing that we need to study in order for us to engage like Hebrew Israelites is, do you know how we receive and translate the Bible? Do you have a general knowledge on how we receive 66 books? Do you have a general knowledge on how the church throughout history decided that we would have 39 Old Testament books and 27 New Testament books? Do you know how you receive that leather-bound book in your lap? Christians should know how we receive the Bible and how we translated it in modern day language. This is why many in the Black Hebrew Israelite camps believe that the King James Version is the only authentic version, while also affirming the Apocrypha. A Christian should be able to articulate the formation.
He's not talking about Israelites, he's talking about one Westers, okay? And Christians don't know, the only Christians that have a idea of the Bible, that kind of sort of know the Bible, but they can't, interpret the Bible, interpret the prophetic parts of the Bible, are so-called scholars, which they're lost any goddamn way. That's why I always go to the commentary, because there'll be about maybe 10, 12 so-called respected commenters, and they all contradict each other. So the Most High is not dealing with them.
Reception, and finally the preservation of the biblical text, and be able to understand how we have this word, the biblical canon. Helpful scripture for us to memorize and meditate is 2 Timothy 3:16, reading from the King James Version. All scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness.
Let me listen to that again. Let me listen to that. Let me let you listen to that again. Listen up.
Meditate in 2 Timothy 3:16, reading from the King James Version. All scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, for
and the script. He's talking about the scriptures. The scriptures are profitable for doctrine, right?
reproof, for
Reproof is to correct somebody. Rebuke also, when you come across the word rebuke, you also think of the word reprove.
correction, for
To correct. If somebody breaks down something wrong, it's your job to correct them. And that's what we do. When a Christian come up, they say, well, God loves everybody, pursuant to John 3:16. What do? We go to the Greek, and the word there is cosmos, which means a certain segment of a thing or a people or a group. You got the insect world, you got the rock and roll world, you got the martial arts world, you got the boxing world, and then you have the world of the Edomites, the Roman world, following the ways of the Romans, and the world of Israel. That's what it's talking about. Okay, so we correct you on that.
Instruction in righteousness.
Instruction in righteousness. We're teaching you the scriptures which contain the laws, because when you come into the truth, you slowly start to keep the laws. That's in Acts 15. That's in Colossians 2, verse 16, and in many other places where it speaks about the law. So when you newly into this faith, you slowly come into it. You slowly start teaching the laws.
This is 2 Peter 1, verse 21 says, for the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but holy men of God spoke as they were moved by the Holy Ghost.
Right, which were he's talking about the prophets, which were all Israelites. Now you had at least one incident where you had a heathen receive prophecies, major prophecies of this coming destruction, which was Balaam. And he made a statement. He said, I wish, I'm loosely saying it, paraphrasing. At the end of when everything's said and done, I wish I can be one of these people. Somebody can put it in the description box. I'm not going to go to it. That's in Numbers 23. The main meat of that account is Numbers 23, Numbers 24, and Numbers 22, but mainly we go to Numbers 23 and Numbers 24. Because he speaks about Israel not being recognized. And he's not recognizing us. He's an Israelite, not recognizing that we the Israelites.
These scriptures tell us the primacy the Bible should have in our lives for life and doctrine, and subversively tells us we should care about how we translate and receive the biblical text. Great.
That's something that we do. That's something that we do, and something that you guys do. Here comes a ching ching. Here comes he hitting them for money. Another book which adds up to money. They're not going to send you a free copy. This whole Christianity thing is it's a business. It's a hustle.
To understand this is From God to Us by Norman Geisler.
Ching, 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 ching. And you know, he got a little smile on his face because he's going to get a little cut. Yeah, I mentioned them. I'm doing commercials. I got to get a cut from this guy. I got to get a cut from that guy.
It tells us how we receive the Bible. Third question that you must ask yourself is, do you know the history of the Jewish people?
No such thing as Jewish people. They're Israelites. Judah is only one tribe. The suffix I, as matter of fact, let me look it up. Let me put in the word ish. Let me see what it says. Ish meaning. Let me go ish meaning. Let me go to Merriam-Webster. Like that. I like this one. Having a touch or trace of, having the approximate no, that's not. That's not a good one. Middle English from Old English. Ist akin to Old High German. Is Greek. Is diminutive suffix. The best definition would be having a touch or trace of somewhat, because they're not the real people. When you say you're Jewish, you're not a Jew. Let's listen to a little bit more.
Now, think about this question. Do you know the history of the Israelites in the Old Testament? Central claim that many in the Black Hebrew Israelite sects or camps, or even those who may be informally connected, is a belief that people are affected by the evil of the transatlantic slave trade are indeed lost tribes of Israel. Common stream. They believe those who were impacted by the transatlantic slave trade and brought over to America are the lost tribes of Israel. And God is using them to awaken up Black people and other ethnicities that they have, typically aligned in the 12 tribes of Israel.
That's Ezekiel 37 and Deuteronomy. You can read the whole Deuteronomy 28, mainly 28 and 68. Ships. It says ships. Let's go to that real quick. For you newer people, we know y'all have been in this thing for years. You already know it because we always get newer people. So this is new to them. Anyway, Deuteronomy 28. And this is the main thing that vocab likes to attack, this precept right here. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. So they say, well, in 70 AD, during the time when the Romans besieged Jerusalem, they took a lot of the young men that were 17 years and younger, and they sent them on ships to Egypt. That's not talking about that. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. Number one enemy, Esau, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now, the part where they say no man shall buy you is when we go, we're going to sell ourselves. Nah, you're going to tell yourself, Israelite for sale, Israelite for sale, inside joke. It doesn't mean that. Let's break it down. It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt. Now, the word Egypt is actually the word Mizraim, but they use the word Egypt. Egypt is synonymous with bondage. It doesn't mean bondage. It's a Greek word, Egyptos, which I'll probably go to it later. Again, for the second time, with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Where were they? When they received this, they were in the wilderness, right? So they were in between. They were north of Egypt and south of the promised land. So they were in the wilderness. Unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. We never went back to the wilderness again. And there ye shall be sold. Let's deal with the word sold. Makar, that's where you get the word mercantile. If you watch CNBC or Bloomberg TV, they'll sometimes use the word mercantile is associated with Wall Street, the stock market and so forth. And it goes back to the Hebrew word to actually literally sell. It says to sell, to be sold, to sell oneself, to be given over to death, to sell oneself. Actually, the word means sell. Let me go into that. It doesn't mean sell oneself. It means sell. And I'm gonna prove that. It says, Genesis 25, verse 30, and Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore, Esau swore unto him and said, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Esau didn't sell himself. Esau didn't put himself on, said, I want to be your slave. He didn't say that. He was looking to kill Jacob after he realized he was supplanted. So it doesn't mean sell oneself. Genesis 31, verse 15. Are we not counted for him strangers? For he hath sold us and hath quite devoured also our money. Genesis 37, verse 27. Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. This is the brothers of the sons of Jacob selling Joseph into slavery. They said they wanted to kill him, and it was Judah and Reuben that jumped up and said, no, let's sell him. Let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. So did Jacob sell himself? So when you come back up here, the right definition for makar is to sell, seller. To be sold, to sell oneself. No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean to sell oneself. I'm reading the precepts here. 28 verse of the same chapter. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen meaning buyers and sellers. Let's look that word up. I'm gonna get ready to close it. Merchantmen. The word is sakar. To go around, go about, travel about, go about in trade. Trade meaning to buy or sell. Trade is an act of buying or selling. To go about to and fro in business. Trader, trafficker. To palpitate. '28 verse. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, meaning guys that were into buying and selling stuff. We would buy slaves. We could sell you slaves, you know. And they showed you that in the movie Gladiator with the guy that owned the main character, the Gladiator himself, which was this guy. I forget his actor's name. Somebody can put it in there or the name that he was given. But the character, the older man, his name was what was his name? Proximo, which means next. And he was selling, there was a dispute he had with Arabs, all right, Midianites, Arabs, Ishmaelites, whatever you call them, about giraffes. And he said, you have sold me 2 gay giraffes. And he owned the main guy, can't think of his name. I can't, Russell Crowe, but the character, I forget his name. He's from out of Spain, and he was a slave. But guess what? He wound up loving his slave. You know, he had a relationship, not a sexual relationship. Don't get stupid with Maximo because he was a great gladiator, man. And they had a revolt, and the old man Proximo was a part of the revolt. You know, he found his integrity again. Then they're passed by Midianites, merchant men, buyers and sellers, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites. Who sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites? His brothers, for 20 pieces of silver. Now, 20 pieces of silver had to be a lot of money. And they brought Joseph into Egypt, Mizraim. So I don't got to read any more precepts concerning this. So the word soul, right? And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold. So somebody has possession of something and he's selling to somebody else. And that's what happened when Esau came over here in ships. They didn't bring money. They probably brought money, but they brought trinkets, they brought wine, they brought cocoa, they brought them rifles so they can defeat their enemies in war. That's how the rifles and the guns use Homo sapiens in your guns. That's how I joke. I had to say that. That's how guns got over there to Africa, man. Esau put them over there, man. That blessing that was given to Isaac. And there ye shall be sold. Doesn't mean you're going to sell yourself. It says you're going to be sold. You're going to have Africans and Arabs that's going to gather you together. And a lot of those people that were part of that getting money for you were other Israelites. Read the history. Read the history. They didn't care about their own people. I believe it was King. Was it King? What is his name? King homie, I think his name was. I'm botching his name up. Somebody put it in the description box, but I did lessons on that, man. And it said how he sold a lot of his people, and he even sold certain of his wives. So that was a wicked Israelite. But you had actual Hamites and you had Ishmaelites that was part of that slave trade along with the so-called white man. And they gave us cocoa, prostitutes, women, guns, trinkets, jewelry, maybe gold, maybe silver. It says, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. Who are the enemies? Esau. It was given to the enemy for money, for bondmen and bondwomen. So they were actually sold. We looked up the word soul and we went into precepts. It's not talking about sell themselves. The word there, merkar, is to sell. And a merchantman is a buyer and a seller. For bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Bondmen meaning slave men. They got papers on you. If you're a bondman, that means they got papers on you. Okay, here we go. Let's look it up. Bondmen. Ibad, which means slave, see, slave, servants, manservant, slave. So that was for bondmen. Then this is for bondwoman. Shapat, shapatha, shapacha, maid servant, slave girl. So we didn't sell ourselves, and people said, "No, we don't want to buy you. We're just going to kill you." That's vocab in his cemetery madness. It says, "And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies, Esau." You can go to the 42nd. Matter of fact, let me go to it. '49 verse. And Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee with your enemies from far from the end of the earth, as swift as an eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. So that's your enemy, Esau. For bondmen and bondwomen. So the word there for there ye shall be sold, meaning you're going to actually be sold. You're not going to offer yourself to be sold. The word sold in the Hebrew, makar, means to sell something. For slave men and slave women, and no man shall buy you. Now let's look up the word buy. Like I said, y'all have been in this thing for years. You already know this. This is for some of the newest people. And no man shall buy you. The word is quana. You had a famous Indian fighter whose mother was an Edomite and his father was a Gadite. His name was Quana Parker. Quana is a Hebrew word. It says to get, acquire, create, buy, possess, to get, acquire, obtain of the Most High, originating, creating, redeeming his people. No man shall save you from your condition. Now, in the movie, and I'm gonna close on this one. In the movie, 12 Years a Slave, at the end of the movie, well, in the beginning of the movie, you had this one Jake that was talking all rough to Solomon Northup, and then when Esau came to get him from the north, because I guess he was free, but they put him back into slavery. They said, "Toby, come over here," whatever his name was. Yo, master. Like he had that rough, Black Panther rebellion type of Jake, and he just turned into a pussy when the Edomite came to redeem him. And at the end of the movie, there was an Edomite that came and redeemed this guy, Solomon Northup, because what did they do? They changed his name, because he said, "No, I'm a free man. I'm a free man." They tricked me and so forth, right? And that's what happened. Well, the 12 Years a Slave is an actual account. He was in slavery for 12 years. And he made a quote. He said, slavery wasn't so bad. He said it was just the heat. I just couldn't deal with that heat. That heat was something else. Well, that was part of the curses. So redeeming his people. Redeem his people. Now let me look up the word redeem in the Common Dictionary. So don't let vocab come up with that bullshit. Oh, that's not talking about actual slave ships, Brutes and Mandingo. Okay, so definition of redeeming: serving to offset or compensate for a defect. The job's only redeeming feature is the employee discount. If you ever get a coupon, right? You get something in the mail, they'll say get a free burger or fries. I remember that Burger King, they came out with some new crispy fries, and I think they were giving out papers. If you come in with that paper, you didn't have to pay for the fries. So what did you do? You redeemed that coupon to do what? To buy those fries. But you didn't have to pay out of your pocket. They gave you a free thing of fries, but you had to have that paper. You know, a lot of times when you get with a cable company, they'll say, if you are part of this cable, we'll pay your whatever you have on the other cable company. And then we're also going to give you a $200 Visa card. And that happened to me. That happened to people I know. And what do you do when you get that Visa card? You go and redeem it by buying stuff in stores. So that's what it means. And no man shall buy you, meaning no man shall redeem you. No man shall buy you back. Ultimately, we're going to be bought back by the Lord. And that's also in Jeremiah the 30th chapter. It speaks about us being under bonds. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna say Shalom. Forgive me for going too long, a little long, but that's how it goes. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna say Shalom.